Well, hey, everybody, Wes McDonald here, and I want to thank you for tuning in to another episode of TigerTube. And if you can't see us, that means you're listening in on Tigerpaw Radio, and I want to thank you for listening in. I'm really excited today. As you can see, I'd like to introduce Ed Knott as our guest today. He is actually a provider that does, traditional VoIP and telephony services and a lot more. So before I go any further, Ed, nobody knows you better than you. So maybe you could introduce yourself, our audience, and share one interesting fact that people may not know.
Sure, Wes, and I want to thank you for the opportunity today, and also Tigerpaw for bringing us on. Geographically, we're not too far from Tigerpaw's headquarters in Omaha. I'm sitting in Albion, Nebraska, which is about 2 hours west of Omaha. Yeah, so Applied Connective was started in Cedar Rapids, Nebraska, in 2004, and so as you mentioned, we're a telephony business, and so initially we started out as a telephony integrator and a Panasonic dealer. And so my background was in IT at that time. I worked for a financial software company. I joined a Panasonic dealer named Tom Krings, and I brought the IT services to our business. So initially we were really primarily focused on telephony and selling phone systems, and then also providing that same customer and client base with our IT offering, which at that time was not a managed offering. It was more traditional as far as break fix. My roots, from an early age, were not in technology at all. And so, wow, I grew up on a small farm and ranch community of about 180 people in north central Nebraska. And so my early roots were with cattle and agriculture. And watching my parents go through that and the technology boom in the late 90s, that's kind of what determined my educational path and career path. So,
well, that's something we share in common, actually. I'm an Alberta boy, and I grew up in a small farming town in Alberta of about 1,000 people. So a metropolis, I guess, compared to where you grew up. Same sort of thing. My dad was in the oil and gas industry, though, working on the oil patch. And I accidentally fell into the technology world, probably about the same time as you in the 90s. And there's certainly no looking back. As we talked about in 2004, you started your business, right? Became a partner with someone else selling those phone systems. And now you've got like 35 staff. You got 3 different offices, right? A long way from, that town of, just over 100 people, right? In 2013, you started using Tigerpaw. And I wonder if you could just maybe share with people how business automation in general, not necessarily Tigerpaw, but just moving in that direction to help automate your business. How did that help you to grow and scale?
Sure. Well, any business owner or anybody that's been involved with a small organization that is trying to mature, such as ours, it can probably relate to a lot of the same pain points that we had with not using business automation or investing in the right technology, even being a technology company to grow our business and become more efficient. And so, we were finding, how we were operating from a service standpoint, all the way to, the accounting on the back end, the sales process, everything about the way we were going about business. It worked. Don't get me wrong, and we were growing, but it wasn't scalable. It wasn't efficient. It was difficult to bring in additional, staffing resources, from a training, cultural, just all around perspective without a tool such as Tigerpaw. So yeah, you're correct. In 2013, we talked with Tigerpaw. We liked what we saw. Their history aligned with ours. The way they went about things aligned with what we were doing, and it was really a game changer for us. Across the board, from a customer service aspect all the way to the back end, general ledger accounting, as far as how we were conducting business. And our business continues to mature today. Different pain points and different things going on. But again, we're trying to leverage technology and business automation software to the best of our ability.
Yeah, that's great. And, I know from my own experience in this space as well, right, that one of the real benefits to growth is getting rid of some of the mundane tasks that, that tie us down, right? That automation really can help us with that, because I got to think it frees up a lot of brain trust to do other things like focus more on, the customer, right? More on what you can do to help them and how you can grow, right? So thank you very much for sharing that. What I want to move into next is you do a lot of, obviously, hosted telephony and VoIP. but you have been diversifying, and this is a topic that I've been following very closely now, probably for the last a couple of years, because I haven't seen any channel that hasn't been impacted by, this, right? I think there was a time when being absolutely specialized was the direction that we moved into, or how we started our business or have grown. But you're doing something a little bit different now. You are succeeding with some other services. Maybe you could share with our audience, what kind of things you're doing outside what you started, and then maybe the second part is why.
Sure. Yeah. And, if you look back to the early days, I think, we diversified because we felt it was necessary. And so it was really out of necessity as far as as we looked at our markets and we looked at opportunity, and tried to predict, where growth opportunities were. We felt it was necessary to do more than just phones and do more than just IT. And of course, if you've been a phone or IT provider, you get asked to do more as well. And so part of it was, we felt that, to take the company where we wanted to go, it was necessary to offer those services that were being asked for. And the other part of it was, I'm bad at saying no. And so, if there was a technical need, whether it was niche or something we were uncomfortable or unfamiliar with doing, we found the resources to get it done. And so that's evolved today, where we really we're divisional. So within our company, we have three divisions. We have our IT division, our telephony or hosted voice division, and then also what we call our infrastructure group. That infrastructure group does everything from physical cabling, low voltage cabling, to physical security, as far as door access control, surveillance, audio, video, and so what we've also done is really transition those as far from a service delivery standpoint to align with one another. So as we deliver our IT services in a managed format, we also deliver our security and surveillance services in a managed format, as do we our hosted voice and those platforms in a managed format as well. So I guess from our perspective, we've had a lot of success, and from our customers' perspective, I really think that they see the value in having one trusted provider for all of those needs. We've all been in the scenario where multiple providers are involved, and there's fingers being pointed. The business owner's frustrated because no one's taking responsibility or initiative in resolving issues or providing solutions. And so it puts us in a little bit of a corner to be good at what we do, and across the board, but also from a customer standpoint, they prefer that type of experience with a trusted vendor.
Yeah, certainly the ability to be able to go with one partner, and I think they call it the lingo they use in the industry is vendor consolidation, right?
Sure.
Be able to have fewer people to speak with, and to be able to solve those problems, right? Now, you mentioned that you do have three divisions that you're growing. Where are you seeing strong growth? We've obviously been in a very strange kind of economy the last couple of years. We don't have to, to get into all those elements of why. We all know it. But what kind of growth have you seen, either, accelerated or spurred on because of that, that maybe kind of helped change your offerings up a bit?
Yeah, we've seen pretty consistent growth across all three areas. We've seen the strongest growth in the last 18 to 24 months by far in our IT area. And so I think some of that's been spurred on by the pandemic, and just the demand for work from home, cybersecurity services, and things of that nature that our IT division provides. But yeah, far and away, that's where we've seen the most growth, and where I still feel like there's probably the most opportunity. Second to that would be the hosted voice world, as far as displacing traditional carriers and telephony services with hosted voice. And some of that goes back to the same situation that our customers are in from an IT perspective, with more flexible and mobile workforces, and communication and collaboration in today's present environment of working from virtually anywhere.
Yeah, and it's interesting. We didn't put this in your questions, but because you're on the topic of remote work, were there any interesting lessons that you and your customers learned about working differently that way? Are there things that you do differently to help people in those remote locations?
Well, I guess internally what we've learned is there's a lot of value and flexibility, and so with your technology that you're using, with the workforce that you employ, being flexible and adaptable is going to determine your success, and it's going to determine who wants to work with you and work for you. And so I think that was the biggest lesson. Again, I'm a fairly traditional person. I feel like I'm more efficient, sitting in an office and collaborating with people that are in the next room. But it really has forced us to change our mindset. And also, I think it's been valuable for our customers to share our experiences on how we've gone about that. And it's transformed their organizations as well as, making them more modern from a technology standpoint, but also more flexible as our workforce demands it.
You mentioned that you're doing physical alarm security and obviously cybersecurity. It's just funny. I did an interview 3 days ago with somebody that's on the finance side. So they actually finance a lot of that equipment stuff. And he had an interesting thing to say, which was that a lot of providers that are doing either cybersecurity or physical security, oftentimes they're not doing both, but they should. And he said, because at the end of the day for customers, it's security, right? So it doesn't matter if it's a physical alarm and security installation, protect them on the outside, or security on the inside as well, right? So, and I think you did mention on the IT side, are you doing cybersecurity for customers as well?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that the gentleman you spoke with, I think there's truth to that statement that you should be doing both. I think from a cybersecurity standpoint, there's been a huge demand from anything from protecting the endpoint to security awareness training, to protecting your remote workforce. I mean, you can go on and on, but also and you've seen this change, and I've seen it. Just societal changes as far as controlling access to buildings. Just making sure staff are safe, whether that's a business environment and your administrative staff at the front desk, or whether it's a school district and who's coming in and coming out, who's coming into the building and when are they allowed access and how are they accessing, those types of facilities. And so I think we have seen a lot of changes in society where that's really top of mind as far as, just, physical security and the benefits and the necessity. Traditionally it was, you're protecting your physical assets, and it wasn't, the focus wasn't necessarily protecting your people. And so I think there has been a shift over the last several years that those that didn't feel they had the need for, surveillance and security of physical assets because of, maybe it wasn't valuable enough, or maybe it could be replaced, to now it's really more of, controlling, access and knowing who's coming and going and making sure that your staff is safe. Should there be an incident, it's a different world when it comes to liability as well. And so, a trip and fall on the stairs, used to maybe, pay the doctor bill. But now if that happens, I mean, from a liability standpoint, depending on what happened, businesses can really be put at risk without being able to have, that type of footage or resource to go back to find out the facts.
Hey, recently, we talked a little bit about this at the beginning. We were talking about excellence, and you've been awarded for some. So you got the award for MTSP of the Year by Tag National. And maybe you can explain a little bit about what that means and what you think you did to earn the honor.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, we've been a member of TAG, which is a peer group that we've been a part of, and Tigerpaw is a vendor that's had a relationship with TAG for a long period of time as well. And so going on 7 years, it's really made a difference in our business, being able to collaborate with peers in the industry that weren't competitors. And so we've gone to lots of TAG annual events. We've been on stage a couple times now. So last November, we were awarded the MTSP of the Year. So TAG's MTSP moniker stands for Managed Technology Service Provider. So again, it kind of goes along with the diversification of the services we offer. We're not just a managed IT service provider, but we're a managed technology service provider. And so we were very proud to get on stage. There was 4 of us from our organization that were down in Dallas and went on stage to accept the award. We were recognized, not only for the different things that we were doing within the industry across all the the technology areas, but also for just our growth and performance, in which we've achieved over 25% top line revenue growth since 2016 consistently. And so that was kind of the one reason that they brought us up there as well.
Well, I'd say that's a pretty good reason. That kind of double-digit growth, especially in challenging times, is no small feat. So congratulations. It really is incredible hearing about double-digit growth, even in good times, but especially in these interesting times, right? If you only had one piece of advice for other providers out there that are looking to grow, hopefully maybe by double digits in the coming year, to expand their offerings or whatever, what would that piece of advice be for them?
That is a tricky one because we could talk about a lot of things that would come top of mind when it comes to advice. But I think what I've seen in the last 12 to 18 months, I think you've got to have an advantageous state of mind. It's the most advantageous selling opportunity when it comes to cybersecurity and IT services that I've seen in my 18 years of experience doing this. And so we've really decided we're going to hit the ground running. Sometimes other things go by the wayside and you'll pick up and figure it out later. But I really think that business owners and the team surrounded them need to take advantage of the opportunity that lies in front of this. And I think on the cybersecurity front, there's a ton of it.
And so, Ed, I cannot thank you enough for joining Tigerpaw in this interview today. And for all of our viewers, if you're watching us on TigerTube, and for all of our listeners, if you're listening to us on Tigerpaw Radio, thank you very much for tuning into another episode built for learning. And until next time, keep learning.